Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. So far, the new crown virus has not been totally controlled due to the steady spread of the pandemic over the planet. It is for this reason that the worldwide chip scarcity persists. In such a case, it might be considered a dividend of the times for semiconductor-related enterprises. However, in such a period, I am worried that only the worldwide lithography machine monopoly company ASML will be the most lucrative. However, with the passage of time, ASML's most cherished product, the EUV lithography machine, has progressively shown its own flaws, namely, the yield problem. Then, even the most modern EUV lithography machine cannot increase the yield rate. What effect will it have? ASML, without a doubt, does not wish to see such an impact. So, does ASML have the power to resolve this situation? ASML lithography machine side effects. Why has ASML's EUV lithography equipment been compromised? Because to its poor heat dissipation performance, Qualcomm's 4nm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 earned the titles of Fire Dragon and Rotten Chip. This chip was first given to Samsung for foundry, however the final product yield rate was just 35%. Then, Qualcomm gave TSMC the order for this chip, and while the yield rate is not high, just 70%, it is also far behind Samsung. Whatever happens with Qualcomm's Fire Dragon yield rate? I'm not sure if everyone discovered it. ASML's EUV lithography equipment were utilized by Samsung and TSMC when they were OEMs. Why is it that in the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 device, which has a poor yield rate, and then Samsung is only 35%, TSMC's yield rate may be doubled, reaching 70%? In reality, this demonstrates that the chip yield has nothing to do with the EUV lithography process. In other words, the EUV lithography equipment has no effect on chip yield. So, what effect would the revelation of this ASML EUV lithography machine shortboard have on ASML? What is the impact on ASML if EUV cannot enhance yield rates? First, consider the consumer market as it relates to ASML. From November 1957 to December 1958, our country saw a national steel-making revolution, and every family built a furnace. Many individuals are claimed to have taken out all of their pots and pans at the time in order to smelt steel and create our country. Pertaining to heavy industry, but what about the outcome? Steel output was believed to be as high as 11.8 million tons that year, while pig iron production was likewise as high as 13.69 million tons. Doesn't it look like a nice grade? However, there were only 8 million tons of certified and usable steel available, which was the entire number of qualified steel and iron goods that year. This demonstrates the significance of the yield rate. It is essentially wasted labor if there is no yield rate. ASML's sophisticated EUV lithography equipment cannot boost yield rates and may have little effect on ASML's consumer market. ASML looks to be losing market share in the consumer market. Second, there will be competitors who will have an influence on ASML's market position. Although ASML's EUV cannot boost yield rates, this does not mean that no nations or businesses can finish it. According to the Nikkei Chinese website, Canon in Japan is presently developing a lithography equipment for semiconductor 3D technology as of April 1st. The technology's benefit is that it can achieve a 3D structure and instantly enter the lithography process through stacking, which is expected to considerably increase the chip's operational efficiency and performance. As a result, EUV that ASML cannot enhance the yield rate may not have more replacements and rivals in the future. The advent of these replacements and rivals may not have an influence on ASML's market position, which is not favorable to ASML's future development and success. In short, the failure to enhance the output of EUV lithography equipment is not a minor issue, nor is the negative impact on ASML. Is there any hope that ASML will be able to address it in the future? Can ASML address this issue? For starters, ASML is working on a new generation of EUV lithography equipment. In truth, ASML may not be insurmountable. At the moment, increasing the chip yield rate of EUV lithography equipment is tough. As a result, if you expand and develop your own advantages, it may not be difficult to eliminate the incapacity to raise the yield rate. Does ASML have a negative impact? Since last year, ASML has introduced a new generation of sophisticated EUV lithography equipment with a Na value of 0.55. This lithography system is reported to be capable of producing chips using sophisticated manufacturing methods as small as 2 nanometers. As a result, ASML may be unable to expand investment in scientific research and adopt a new generation of EUV lithography equipment as soon as feasible, mitigating the negative impact of not being able to enhance chip yield. Second, ASML expands its collaboration with Korean semiconductor companies. According to South Korean technology media ED News on February 22 this year, ASML wants to expand its EUV lithography equipment sales objective in South Korea to around €14.75 billion in 2025. Furthermore, ASML CEO Peter Wynn visited South Korea on April 5 of this year and discussed semiconductor cooperation with local key persons in South Korea. Now that ASML is expanding its semiconductor collaboration with South Korea, it may be impossible to fully include the South Korean market. Will this not mitigate the impact of EUV lithography equipment low yield? Finally, ASML expanded its workforce. According to ASML's published data, the company's global workforce surpassed 30,000 on January 15 this year. Almost the last 2 years, ASML has hired over 6,000 new staff. ASML's Chinese staff had risen to more than 1,300 by the end of last year. According to Bloomberg News, ASML wants to add thousands of new employees this year, boosting the company's workforce from 31,500 to 35,000. In the case of ASML's huge recruiting, there may or may not be no skills among them, and it may not be able to assist ASML in reducing or even eliminating these negative consequences. In summary, everything ASML is concerned about has occurred, in my opinion. The yield rate cannot be increased by using an EUV lithography machine. ASML, on the other hand, may not be able to fix it or cope with it. This type of negative scenario results in the influence may not always have a bright and attractive development outlook. At the same time, Chinese semiconductor firms should focus on building their own chip technology to guarantee that their technology is not limited by other countries. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.